3, 2, 1. Light.
All right, thank you for joining us this month for the City of Houston, as well as SCORE and HCC's collaboration in providing vendors of the city, as well as potential vendors, with information and resources to do government contracting with the city. This month, our concentration is on financing and what it takes to get financing, and then also what the city is looking for potential vendors as it relates to financing. We do have a meeting every month. Next month is HR. So we will be covering HR topics, as well as, hiring subcontractors versus W-2 employees, all of that good information and resources that are available in the City of Houston so that you can carry on with business here in the city. So again, this is a presentation provided by SCORE Houston. We are the largest chapter in the United States. We do have over 150 volunteers that can cover everything from startup to closeout and everything in between. We have attorneys as well as CPAs and other professionals that can provide you with free information as far as how to govern your business. We have, make sure I got that going, Dr. Portia Jackson with the City of Houston. And some trigger figures going too fast here, with the City of Houston, and I'll go ahead and let her introduce herself as well as the organization.
Well, hello, everybody. I'm with the City of Houston, the Business Development Manager. And so the Office of Business Opportunity is the advocate for small businesses. And so what we do, 4 major facets that we have. We're the certifying agency for the City of Houston. So we certify in 6 different areas. Plus we also do HUB, which is historically underutilized business certification, as well as we recognize the LGBT BE certification in our directory. On top of that, we have a contracts and compliance department that ensures that all of our certified firms that are working on contracts, that they are being taken care of as far as all the contracts are being followed appropriately. As well as we have an OBO Solution Center for those folks who are starting their business or have questions and want to be connected to outside external financiers, or as well as if you have questions about permitting and want to be connected to a mentor, we can definitely assist with that. And then we also have business development programs. So we have programs all the way from the beginning, where if you just have an idea, just start a business less than a year with our business plan competition, to our capacity building program, which is a 7-month capacity building program for those folks who are looking to take their business to the next level after having a pretty good success already in the business field. And I am here to just kind of provide the information on behalf of the city and just talk about that. And we're just so glad that you all have joined us in person as well as online.
Thank you, Dr. Benson. We are also here at the lovely campus of HCC Missouri City. I'm trying to push the right button here. There we go. There we go. Okay, and who has provided us with the room and space here. So please come out to our next meeting. We have more than enough space for you to come and ask questions in person, but we do also provide it as a recording and online, online live through HCC. So we thank HCC for that. And Ravi, who is the Director of Center of Entrepreneurship, is here organizing this wonderful event, as well as the ones for the future event. We do plan on providing this event the first Thursday of every month for the remainder of the year. So please join us here at the Missouri City location. All right, so as I mentioned, might be battery. This particular event is having a discussion around financing. So vendors of the City of Houston, as well as potential vendors, one of the major concerns is, how do I get started? Usually the resources or the things that the city needs is products. That's mostly, but they also have a need for services as well. But when products are involved, there's a greater need for financing, and where to go and how to do that. So a lot of people think, okay, I start a business and I need to get a loan just because I started a business. That's not always necessarily true. You want to get started, there's different ways to get started. You don't have to run out and get a bank loan. A lot of people think, okay, well, if I do have to get a bank loan, then I need business credit. That is true, but a lot of startups don't have that business credit. So a lot of banks may look at your personal, or they will look at your personal credit in order to make determinations about the bank loan. There's other resources that are out there that can help support your request for a bank loan, like SBA loan, which is not a bank loan. It is a guarantee for a bank loan. So we'll explain all of that as we go through this course. My name is Jada Harris. I am a certified SCORE mentor. I am not a financial advisor or CPA, so let's put that on the table right now. I am not giving you financial advice, but I am giving you information as to the resources that are available as an entrepreneur, especially as myself as an entrepreneur, what I've encountered and what I've learned. So I just want to clarify. Ms. Jada said, no, Ms. Jada, I didn't tell you to do that. I'm just telling you where the information is. Okay. So with that being said, I'm going to start the questioning with Dr. Jackson. When you're looking at vendors, and of course, I know with the city of Houston, it's the lowest bid that usually wins out. Is that correct?
Typically, on the actual bid solicitation, it'll tell you what they're looking for, but typically we do go best value. And what that really means is that just because you have the lowest bid does not mean you win. But for instance, and I'll share this for a lot of folks, especially who are excited about doing government contracting and just want that dream contract, and we'll just say the bid is, they said, okay, I'm going to put in, I can do it for $1 million. And there's no way that you could do it for $1 million and still make a profit. But because they want the government contract so badly, they'll say they can do it for $1 million and expect to get the contract. And that's not how it's going to work. When you begin to look at the solicitation, it's going to have a lot of different requirements that's needed for you in order to do that job. So if it's saying that you need to have, 5 acres and you have 4, but you're like, but I'm going to put in that lowest bid so I can win. They're not going to do it. They're not going to award it to you. They're going to award it when they talk about best value. They'll look at, can you actually do the job? Do you have the capacity to do the job? And then they're going to go to the amount that you put. And so they look for the lowest bid in that realm, not just the person who issues out the lowest bid.
Thank you. So capacity is a key word.
Yes.
As far as the ability to, one, provide or answer the contract, provide what is necessary. And then when even if you have the 5 acres that you gave as an example, but you don't have the backing, the financing to support what is required, the city doesn't necessarily look at how much is in your bank, but it's important that you have the resources to support what is being required. So this presentation is going to provide you with what the thinking of what is necessary to support the requirements. So I hope I didn't go too far. I'm sorry.
Is there some type of do you guys keep some information on like the number of people that are winning these bids? Because as new vendors, we all know that the financial part is a challenge within itself, but there's also this challenge of people that have been around for a while. Those vendors, they get called upon. And it's kind of hard to penetrate that capability to become a vendor because of things like that. I mean, and yeah, I mean, the financing, of course, is always something. However, but I would like to see like the number of people. I mean, do they keep any information on the number of new vendors that win contracts as opposed to older vendors? Because it's just hard getting in. And as just because I've had my business for 6.5 years, I had contracts with local companies. So I'm not having to compete at this level. I'm competing at another level. But of course, I want to compete and be able to become a city vendor or a government vendor. And I just find that it is, I'm not going to say impossible, but it is very difficult and it's very frustrating.
Yeah, it's very frustrating, but it's highly competitive, right?
Right.
So you're competing with all these different companies here in Houston, plus there's also folks who are not in Houston that you're competing against as well. And so with that, when you're entering a competitive environment, you're not always, it's going to be hard.
Right.
It's going to be difficult. I can tell you there are large companies, I won't name any names, but there are significant large construction companies that have not even had won a bid for some years. And so it's highly competitive for everyone, but persistence is the key. Networking is the key, but also all businesses competing for these government contracts have to be realistic as far as where do you stand? Who are the competitors? There's a site that you can go to. It's houston.mwdbe.com.
Did you say that again?
Houston.mwdbe.com. That's the site where you can go under contracts database. There's a button for that. You click on that. You can put in search criteria, or if you know a contractor that comes to your mind. Anyway, you can search the contracts that have been awarded there, and you can see who's being awarded those.
So you can
particular
actually see a completed contract that was won.
You can see, just for instance, if Jada won a contract and she's in there, and you're like, I want to see. It seems like she's always winning the contracts. So I'm going to type in, I'm just going to say your company name is Jada. So I'm going to type in Jada, and it'll list all the contracts that she's won. So you can go in there and you'll see the date that it was awarded, how long that contract is for, how much she was awarded, who her subcontractors were. You can see all that information, and that's how you can use it and say, well, if she's winning them, then I, as a business, if I'm trying to get the same type of contract she's getting, I want to know what's my competitive advantage over her, what's she doing? And because it's a government agency, then you can always put in a TPIA request, and you can request to see maybe the particular bid that she put in, and see what she did, and then so when it's time to bid in the future.
The actual bid that she sent in, or the actual bid itself, can you see that?
You have to request it.
But I can't request it and see it in its entirety?
There's some.
Some information that's private, you're not going to they'll take that out, but yes, you'll be able to see that.
MW.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No.
MWDBE.com, right?
And then just to go back to, I just want to make sure, because some of the wording you use, just so it doesn't confuse other folks.
Oh, okay.
You have to register to be a city vendor. And then, so I think what you're really just saying is being a vendor that has been awarded a contract. Right. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows to be a city vendor doesn't mean you have to have a contract. You can be a city vendor and still do business. It could be, you may supply, I used apples one time, right? You may supply 10 apples, to a department. That's doing business with the city, but you still have to be registered as a city vendor.
And where do you actually register?
And so you can go to purchasing.houstontx.gov to be a city vendor.
Purchasing?
Yes. And so what I'll do is we can share these sites a little bit later.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to stop the presentation.
Okay. All right. So to support all that, you need financing. And how you go about getting that financing, we'll give you some options of what financing is available, is determine how much funding you'll need. So, initially, like I said, people go straight in and say, okay, I think I'm going to need 200,000 to start this business, or they've done a business plan and they know that because of the research that they've done, that it takes 200,000 to run this type of business. But if you have personal funds, if you have friends and family, if you have competed in competitions and won, some money, which I mentored an individual that won the Liftoff Houston competition. She won $10,000. So that's definitely, going to help with funding her business. Those are different ways than to stretching yourself and lending or purchasing a loan, which is what you're doing when you go through a bank, as well as if you decided to onboard investors. You're giving away a piece of your business. Again, we'll talk more about that. So determining what you need for a business as a whole, or maybe if you're providing the 10 apples, you're needing funding just for those 10 apples. So you have to determine what the funding is needed for. And then again, self-funding, that's optimal. I know that with my business, I don't, it's a service-based business, so I don't really need a business loan. However, with the other type of business that I would like to continue doing, that one does need funding. So I use my current business to fund that business. So you can self-fund, or if you are currently employed either part-time or full-time, use a portion of that income to fund your business. I'm averse to debt. So any way that we can get around it, and as an accountant to my clients, and it's, as well as just business practices, I don't like to onboard debt unless you absolutely have to, and you have a plan to eliminate that debt very quickly. Yes.
So I have a question.
Yes.
And I don't even see negative, but it's almost like if you don't have like it's just my opinion, 6.5 years. You don't have the storm they're saying. I'm sorry, I don't want to turn that off. It's almost impossible to get those bank loans for startup.
Yes.
And I think we should just be real honest about that.
Mhm.
And we all know that, people of color have always been at the bottom of the spectrum. All these lawsuits are out now because we are the least to be expected to get a loan, even more so. However, I don't know, I think that there have to be some other.
I want to hear what I want them people. It's things, it's stuff put in place so that your business be, if it's a startup, or if you're already growing but you don't have what you need, it's called CDFIs. It's a lot of different programs out there. You just have to be knowledgeable and get in the service to tell you what you need. But it's CDFIs and other things that you can tap into where you don't have to, like people fund, live fund. It's a lot of different things that'll give you funding.
Yes, and we'll talk
And
about that.
Thank you.
Sometimes, I'm glad thank you. But I was going to ask from the perspective, because like you said, I don't want to borrow money.
Mhm.
I just don't.
Yeah, but
And,
they'll give it to you.
Yeah.
And it's backed by the SBA.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be
So,
quiet.
and again, we're gonna
I'm
go over those
sorry.
options. No problem. Okay, so another option for funding your business is to get venture capital, again, investors involved. If you're willing to sell a piece of your business in order to get their funding, that is an option. Crowdfunding is another option, which is useful two ways. One, the funding, and then two, to get people around your business to support your business and your brand. A lot of people miss out on that aspect because they think of it as marketing and sales, which it does kind of fall in, it definitely falls into that area. But if you can, one, get people involved and support your brand and your products and services, then you can also help, they can also help fund it. And the way that they're supporting your brand is through their money. So that's even better. So of course, small business loans. And again, we'll talk about the options of getting more access to those small business loans. use a lender match to find lenders who offer SBA guaranteed loans, and then SBA investment programs. So all of this is listed on the website that is on the page from the SBA. The SCORE is affiliated with the SBA, so once we provide mentorship to you, we can connect you to the SBA organization so that they can help guide you towards the resources that are available. So next slide, please.
Ms. Karen, what do you think about grants?
Yes, so that's another option. Grants for businesses. Now, I've been in this industry for 25 years, and part of it has been as a accountant for a major university for nonprofit. Usually, especially prior to COVID, grants were reserved for nonprofits. Businesses did not enjoy that opportunity unless you had a nonprofit designation. However, after COVID, you saw all of everybody, especially after Black Lives Matter, a lot of organizations, as well as lending institutions, provided grants. And it's a wonderful opportunity to share your business with the organization, because that's what you're doing. They're using your business as a platform for their business and their brand, and they're providing you with that money to support that. There are different industries and businesses that provide grants, like American Express, Capital One, Walmart, Target. They all provide grants to small businesses post-COVID. Some of them even before, but it was very hard to get them and very competitive. So that is an option for you. Another thing to know about grants is that a lot of people think of it as free money. And it is free money to a certain extent, but there is a large reporting requirement to it. And similar to contracts, and you can attest to this, Dr. Jackson, there's so many requirements as compared to bootstrapping, self-funding, as well as getting from the bank. The bank really, they're doing their due diligence before you get your loan. So at that point, once you get the loan, the only requirement, you pay them back. And if you don't, you're gonna have to give over whatever for. However, with contracts, as well as nonprofit or grants, you have a requirement, which is what I was mentioning earlier: pre-award, post-award, and closeout. And a lot of people forget about the closeout part, which is the reporting part. You do have to report throughout, but at the end, they want to know, what did you do with the money? Did you, dollar for dollar, did you do exactly what you said you were going to do? And then, if there's any money left over, if we don't require you to give it back, what are you planning to do with that money? Or at closeout, are you requesting more money? Are you extending this grant? There's so many regulations that are around grants and contracts, and that's because it's our money that the city or the organization is stewarding. So they must require this information to report back to the community what was done with the money. So that's what you have to keep in mind when you think about nonprofit versus profit. So financing options. So of course we've talked about bank loans, SBA loans. So I kind of touched on this a little bit. A lot of people think, oh, I can go to the SBA and get a loan. That is not true. The only thing that the SBA will do is guarantee to the bank that you chose that the loan will be paid back to a certain amount.
I don't understand how that works.
Okay, so let's put it in, let's back it down. So say we have your cousin, you ask her for $100, and your aunt says, if she doesn't pay it back, I'll pay it back for her. Okay, that's a guarantee. SBA is your aunt. And the bank is like, okay, well, if the SBA is willing to back this person, then we still need all the requirements.
So I guess what are the preliminaries then? Because you can, I thought I was signed up I mean, I'm a minority owned and all that stuff through the SBA, been through courses. Is there some other type of sign up or signage so that when we go to these banks, they know that the SBA is backing us? Do we talk to them first so we tell them
They
no?
got their own bank that they refer you to. All you have to do is go on their website,
Mhm.
and put your business information in, and then they'll start sending you emails to tell you what SBA certified bank they had that would be suitable for your business.
Absolutely.
Thank you, ma'am.
So, so yes, so keep that in mind that they're guaranteed. Online loans, so that has become very prevalent in the last, what, maybe 10, 15 years, where you can apply for a loan online. Literally, they deposit into your bank, the next 3 business days or something to that effect. Those are lucrative and helpful, especially if your credit's kind of shaky or your backer, it's not so great. But
You know?
the interest rates on those are usually extensive. So I don't want to dominate the conversation, but as far as if we are talking about being a vendor, or if we are a vendor and we want to get those apples to the city, I want to get a small business loan, $5,000 just to support that project. That is helpful, but you want to make sure that you have what you need in addition to support that. Dr. Jackson, I know we've said a lot so far. Is there anything you want to add to it?
No, you're saying
Okay.
everything you want. So, but just,
I'm
I
gonna take you home.
I just kind of want to
All the way to
also,
Atlanta.
bring in the underlying current too, and that's that we all, as business owners, we always have to understand, and be honest with ourselves,
Absolutely.
right? So if we know that our personal credit isn't the best, then, you can't go in expecting that you're going to get the best interest rate or you're going to get the money. Because just like you wouldn't loan money to someone who probably won't pay it back, neither will they.
Mhm.
And also, and with dealing with that too, everything always goes back to research. And I think that's where a lot of the disappointment on the end comes. And that's when you're looking to do business with the government, you have to realize it's not like a tit for tat exchange, right? Okay, so I asked for 1 apple of those 10, you gave me 1 apple and I'm giving you the money for it. Your business has to be able to sustain until it's time to get paid, which could be like 90 days, right?
Yes.
And so if your business is not able to sustain itself through that time, then you really want to think, is this contract really for me, right?
So is it not true that they now have something in place where you can say you are a small business and they have something set up so that like you don't have to wait as long?
Who's they?
Government.
So which government are you talking about? So when we talk about government, we have local, we have state, we have federal.
I'm so.
And they all, there's 3 different ones. So then you have to know what that government, particularly what their rules are. And even with that, like when we talk about local, there are different local government agencies, but you have to know what that agency and their method is and what their requirements are. And so when you're really talking about doing business with the government on the bid solicitation level, you have to read those bids. And it's rare that a bid is 2 pages, right? You're looking at some that are like 79 pages and all that kind of stuff. And everything that they want in that is there in that bid. And so the advantage, the opportunity for the small businesses is that your certification can come into play to help you to get into working on those larger contracts via subcontracting. You use that subcontracting avenue to grow your business so that you become a prime, and you really don't need subcontracting anymore. You'll take it, of course, but you don't really need it. But you want to use that avenue to grow your business, but you also need to use that avenue too when you get a contract position, to learn all you can from that prime, because a lot of people don't understand the reporting that it takes. And it's a lot of reporting that it takes, because you're dealing with local government dollars and you're responsible for that. So if you've never had a $5,000 contract do you think possibly you would get $1 million contract? Right? So you have to work your way into that, but all that, is growing your business and growing the capacity, because if you can't give me 10 apples, I'm definitely not gonna hire you to give me 250, right? So you have to just also, just really have a plan and do your research when you're looking for government contracting. Begin to make sure that your business is able to, if I'm going for 250 apples, let me start doing these contracts, but also let me diversify my portfolio. Government is not the only thing out there.
Right.
And so you want to be able to, maybe I'm not getting that 250 apple contract with the government, but if I can get it over here from HEB, then let me do that, grow my business, and then I'm coming after the government. But the whole entire time, I need to know, if I'm in the Apple business, I need to know everybody that's in that Apple business and who is getting that contract, how they're getting that contract, how are they moving to get that contract, who are they talking to get that contract, so that if I'm going after the bid, I'm not just saying, hey, I want somebody to take my bid and because I think I can do it, and remember that relationships are key.
Yeah.
And this is a relationship town.
Yes.
Like.
And this is the thing too, when you do the contract, they give you, okay, so when you apply for the contract, the person who's picking the person of going through the contract, their information is there. So they give you an opportunity to email them and talk to them, but they do answer the emails back.
So what, because you've been doing it too, what is your advice on, because if you're talking about,
It's really, I'm telling you, I wrote down to learn and network. Like, I'm in so many different groups that I pay annual things for just to be in groups to talk and learn. And people that's like California, North Carolina, South Dakota. It's really about putting yourself in the room to hear the knowledge, to get the knowledge, and for people to see your strong points, you see their strong points, and that's what it really comes down to.
so in your opinion, is it better to just, because a lot of like the federal contracts, they're big, they're not gonna be
It's not true.
So do you think that it's just better to just not even go after them?
No, you go after everything, because even I'm telling you, even if you shoot for the stars, somebody will still pick you up. Like and then you still learn then too. About what you ain't did. It's just deep in there. Like, okay, don't go in there. You can go in there, don't even go in there thinking you're gonna win. It's just the experience. You keep learning as you go, but then
Sort of what you touched on and what Dr. Jackson touched on is relationships. That's what it's all about, being in the room and forming those relationships. Because even if you don't get the contract, like you stated, you're building relationships so that you can fund the other part or provide other service lines. So in the past events that we've had, that's some of the things that we talk about. I always tell my clients, have at least 3 streams of revenue, if not more. So government contract, business to government, business to government, business to business, and then business to client. So that when you are going after those 3, that if one is not, is taking time, like government, of course, government, then you're getting financing from the other 2 lines of income. This is a journey as far as government contracting. It's not a sprint. A lot of people start the business and I'm gonna get a contract and that's how I'm gonna run my business. That's very great, but it doesn't work like that, because again, you have to build that relationship, you have to do your research, and you have to be able to support that contract. And so it's going to take time to learn that. And while you're learning that, you're also providing your business in other avenues. So the next opportunity is small business grants, which we talked about, and then credit union financing. So a lot of people go after the Chase, after the Wells Fargo business loans, which that's where you're going to hit walls no matter what demographic you come from. However, credit unions, especially if you are involved with a credit union, you have an account there, they are more susceptible of giving you a loan versus some of the bigger banks. And the rates are a little better. It's more of a homey feel rather than a corporate feel. So that's an option for you.
Let me
Crowdfunding.
ask you something. What, as an accountant, what interest rate would you just say, okay, we know, like, no, we know something totally ridiculous, but what are some good rates?
I wouldn't be able to provide you with that
Okay.
advice, but right now, the going rate is somewhere around 4.3%. That's the rate
Okay.
that the loans are going for right now. I know and understand that that's about to change very soon because because of the supply chain demand, as well as some of the things that are going on as far as real estate and as far as our country as a whole. So, you have to watch the market, but that's not something that I could speak on. Now, crowdfunding, which we've already talked about, the three that I have at the bottom here, I have asterisks to them because a lot of people don't think about this as a source of funding or financing. Bootstrap, which is what I explained earlier, is where you're, creating widgets that are selling very quickly through Amazon, for instance, that you can use to actually fund your business. For instance, my other business, it was home healthcare. And one of the widgets was that I had that I went and presented to a medical supply company was bed pads that were very absorbent, very durable. They were selling like hotcakes. I used that money to help support my business. So that's a form of bootstrapping. You're doing something that is not requiring you to get a loan. So, and I would, if I was going to do that again, as far as my current business, which is in accounting, contract management, I would find an instrument that would move very quickly to fund my business. So that's one thing to think about. Another is credit cards. And again, a lot of people, they think of credit cards on a personal level. But one of the requirements of getting a business loan, so when you're ready to hit that $500,000 contract and you need the funding to go with that, they want to see business credit. So if you start with credit cards, which are a little bit easier to get rather than a business loan, the rates are a little bit higher, but if you use it instrumentally, and if you use it wisely, you can build the business credit to one day get that business loan. So that's another easier way to get funding. And then the last one is micro lenders. And so we have several, and you've mentioned a couple, Lift Fund or People Fund that are micro lenders. And so they are looking for small businesses to fund. Sometimes they're giving the money away, okay, because you're a part of the organization. But then they're also, similar to the SBA, they're supplying a guarantee for you to get other loans. And they start you out with a $5,000 loan. Maybe you just need to purchase those 10 apples, okay? That $5,000, but what you're doing is you're building your credibility and your relationship with them so they can speak to the bigger lending institutions and say, yes, this person did X, Y, Z substantially, successfully, and therefore I think that they would be able to support that $500,000 loan.
Okay, so what she's telling you is that's true, because with People Fund, the first loan they gave me was $25,000. So when I did what I was supposed to do with 25, I turned in all my itemized things, I paid it back. I'm just got approved $250,000 to the point where I'm at the point now I have to make the itemized spend sheet to show them exactly to the dollar I'm gonna spend this $250,000. So it's after, and that's on the startup.
Okay. So there, like you said earlier, there's so many different ways to get funding. And again, as we started, there are small businesses think that I have to go after Chase Bank or Wells Fargo in order to get the funding for my business, but there's other options for you.
And then those CDFIs as well have technical assistance to assist. So your larger banks, they're big, right? They're looking for, big pockets, right? But your CDFIs understand the makeup of our smaller businesses, and smaller businesses are their target, like you all mentioned. And so they understand that there may be some difficulties in getting that access to capital. So they have technical assistance to make sure that, hey, we just don't want to give you the money and then you go out, but we want to show you how to use that money. So that, yes.
So when you're going and talking to them, are you asking for just
When you first get on that website, you're gonna have to go to business development.
Mhm.
So that's when they have someone call you, they have someone, they'll ask you a series of questions, you tell them what you're trying to do, and then they gonna formulate a plan to help you, to walk you through that, to get you where you're trying to go. All of them had it, just like school has mentors, they basically have development. But someone is gonna call, you gonna actually talk to someone. You just gotta get on the right, you in the right place, you fishing in the right pond, but you still have to do the
Yeah, yeah. I wanted, for my clients, I try to help reframe their understanding a lot, of what we know about business and about financing and things like that. Relationships is key. Business loans are not just to fund the business. It's all about relationship. What you hear about people getting $500,000 loans, these people have $1 million businesses. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not
It's all
necessarily
relative.
about, it's all relative. It's not about the money. It's about the
They
relationship.
gotta know that money, that you have a way for that money to come.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's all about, I don't want to say playing the game, but that's really what it is that you're in the room, you're in the relationship, they know you, it's all about that. That's what this banking or financing is all about. You got to take your mind off the money aspect and think more about the relationship. Okay, because the relationship that you're building with this organization is going to help with the other parts of your business. Does that resonate? Okay, so I'm ready for the next slide. Okay, so qualifying, which we talked about in depth here, qualifying for business financing is building personal and business credit scores. Again, business, of course, you immediately think I have to build my business credit, but your personal credit is just as important. They're going to look at that first, then they're going to look at the business credit, because more than likely, especially for small businesses as well as startups, you don't have business credit. Secondly, know the lender's minimum qualifications and requirement, like Dr. Jackson said. If you don't know, especially when it comes to contracts, if you don't know what the bank is requesting, how can you meet what they need? You may be a successful business, you've been in business for 10 years, but then again, if you don't know what their requirements are, you can't meet them.
So you just call them and they'll give you those?
Absolutely, absolutely. Or just look at the application. And again, in the contract realm, you're going to look at the people who came before you or who currently have the contract. What did they do?
Okay.
You're going to look at the contract solicitation. What are the requirements of that? A lot of that is going to have, you have to have $500,000 in sales in order for you to even apply for this contract. So then also gather financial and legal documents, highly important.
And that's key because a lot of our businesses do not keep up,
Yes.
do not keep accurate record of their financial documents. And so when you think about the government, does not the government ask you for every single thing?
Yes.
So if you're trying to do business with the government, you must know they're going to ask you for every single thing to make sure, one, it's not some type of pass-through organization or anything like that. And all the different fraud that has just escalated, that's going on. So one key thing is making sure that you have your financial documents in order, they're up to date, that you're doing you're filing taxes, but you would believe how many businesses do not file their taxes. And then they wonder, well, how come I'm not getting a loan, or how come I getting this? You're not even filing the taxes.
That's so key.
Right.
Okay. And a major part of what my business does, I had at least 3 clients, if not 4, come to me this tax season that hadn't filed in 3 years, and that we had to get it all cleaned up. So that's a big part of what my business does. It is, if you don't have your financials in order, meaning your income statement, balance sheet, and all of that rolls up into your day-to-day, what you do on a daily basis, if those are not clean, you don't even entertain it. Don't even, you're wasting your time. Keep doing whatever you're doing to run your business. And there's, people who run businesses that are not, they don't have good records, but when they get to a point where they are interested in contracts or they need funding like PPP loan or the EIDL loan, which was free money to a certain extent, and you don't have your financials together, you're not getting any of that. So the SCORE Houston has created what is called a go bag. that in the cases of disasters, which we've encountered here a lot in Houston, as far as Katrina, as far as Harvey, as far as COVID, which affected all of America, we have created this go bag so that you have a list of things that are needed for you to retain as a business and how to do that, especially retaining information in the cloud. So part of my business is QuickBooks Online Training, which retains information in the cloud for you. So very key to keep your financial and legal documents together. Develop a strong business plan. That was one of our first meetings this year, was creating the business plan and how to successfully use that in running your business is so key. And the business development organizations that was mentioned earlier will help you with that, as well as SCORE. We have templates on our website that you can download. We have short business plans for those who don't want to create the 100-page business plan. We are a resource in helping you do that. And as we mentioned in one of our first meetings, the city of Houston doesn't necessarily look at that, right? But it's instrumental in being a vendor for the city.
And you know what, I think after a certain amount of time, you just probably need to go back. I'm not even doing some of it, I don't know.
Yeah, well, and I, for my mentees through SCORE, I tell them, you know, a lot of people finally get that business plan done and they set it on shelf and they never look at it again. And I you know, I've been guilty of that too, because we're busy, we're running a business. But you should revisit your business plan every 6 months, at least every year. And you'll find that not only are you revisiting to check boxes, but also to add to it, you know, to sort of like doing a vision board, what you plan to do in the next year to 5 years. So it's very key. And that you'll find that you've done the things that you said. You know, I thought, you know, oh, I'm just doing this to, you know, fulfill the requirement of the Business Development Council that I went through. And then when I looked at it again, oh, I did get the 5 clients that I was going to get by August, or I did make $1,000 from one client in one single. So, you know, it does allow you to you know, encourage yourself. And then lastly, provide collateral. This is one thing we didn't talk about that is very important. They want to know that you have skin in the game. You know, a lot of people think, oh, I'll just apply for a loan. My credit is 750. They're definitely going to give it to me. No, they want that 20%, at least 20%, or some sort of collateral.
And
your
now
house.
they're paying almost 7.55%.
That's very true. Very true.
Like, what they gonna go with next?
You know, there was a time when 750 was, yeah, it wasn't, you know, that it wasn't even existing, you know. But,
Yeah, right. Because the times are selling.
Right. So, you know, the requirements change. It's all about due diligence. It's all about having a successful business. And we're doing this so that we can build these relationships. And we mentioned a very popular business owner in the community now, we were talking about earlier, that is not only running his business, but he's helping the community. And as business owners and as entrepreneurs, that is our ultimate goal, right? Because we have employees or we have people that we work with that we want to see thrive as well. So
and there's enough money for everybody.
Absolutely.
Really look at the big picture.
Absolutely. That's another thing. If you're worried about competitors, if you're worried about someone stealing your idea, then you're in the wrong. You're in the wrong. Exactly. I believe you were created for a purpose, and therefore, when you're doing what you're supposed to, no one can compete with you because you are that person for that purpose. So with the next slide, I just want to thank you for joining us today. We do want to open it up for questions for the last
I want to add something.
5 minutes. Oh, yes,
really
please. I'm
quick,
sorry.
too. And so when you're talking about the business plan, and it's really good that you read the business plan, even if it's 1 page, because when we're talking about building relationships, all this stuff works together, right? So you never know when you're in the room with someone. I can be in a room and, you know, if I know what my business is and where I'm planning to take my business, I should, for the most part, be sharing that, because I can be in the room and be telling Jada about my business. And yeah, so, you know, over in about 2 years, we wanted to expand to, I don't know, New York.
Right.
Jada could say, oh, I know somebody who can help you with that,
Yeah.
right? So with that business plan, not only are you assessing, what you have accomplished, but you're also planning your future, and then you're reinforcing to yourself the dreams and your goals, so that when you're out networking and building these relationships, you can tell people what your goals are, because you never know who's in front of you that can help you with those goals. And even though it may be 2 years down the line, that person can make it happen tomorrow, and you just never know that. So I just want to really just encourage people, one, revisit your business plan, whatever that looks like, for you. And also with those, even with the financial documents, with your business, you should know how much money you make, and you should know, like, next year, this is how much we should be making, right? So, and you really can't accurately assess that unless you understand your financials. And if you don't understand your financials, means you're not kind of, keeping and doing your due diligence and keeping up with it. You should know your profit margins, and you should know, what, if we want to get to 2 million next year, this is what we have to do. And also, when you talk about the CDFIs, like I see them all the time in my circle. And so they know other people, and they can connect you if they don't have the resources, or they see that you're a better fit for someone else. They're able to, to refer you to that. But you gotta have everything tight, because nobody wants to refer someone and then you go on the referral and you mess it up, and that makes that person who referred you, I'm not gonna trust what Jada said because she sent somebody over here who didn't know, how much they made in a year. So, but just keep that in mind with relationship building, is that, big city, small town, right? Also knowing that, just keeping your business tight, so you know where you're going, where you're trying to go. And also, when you know that, what you probably shouldn't take, right? Time is, we can't get it back, can't pay for it. So you need to be intentional with every single thing that you're doing. And so something may look great, 500 apples per buy now might look great, but you know what? If my plan is to go this way, that doesn't fit with it. Great opportunity, but not for me. So you have to be able just not to be in a position where I'm gonna try to take every opportunity, and then you're taking all of your time to put it in something that's not going to benefit your ultimate goal. And if you don't have that business plan, if you're not really sitting there strategizing the growth of your business and what you're trying to go and who you probably need to be connecting with, then you're just going to be spinning around in a circle. And then 10 years from now, you're still going to be making that $100,000 that you made, 10 years ago. So I just want to really just, so when we think about it, we cringe on the numbers. I know I cringe on numbers, but honestly, as a business owner, you really want to grow your business and be able to, if you're operating in your purpose, that opportunity is coming. It's up to you if you mess it up. So just make sure your business is tight and you know where you're going, and then really build those relationships, because you never know when that opportunity is going to be in front of you. And it can be the person that you just maybe meet walking up to a class. Mm-hmm. And you want to be able to share your business and always be in the opportunity. Any class you're in, any room you're in, people should know about your business. At least one person should know about your business. So I like that you have a poll. I hope that's your business. When you go, have your branded gear, even if you want to just dress regularly, have a cup or something that has your logo on it, and be willing to just put that out there anytime you're in a classroom setting, and especially if you're somewhere or a company that you're interested in. If you have to just ask a question, maybe you already know the answer to it, but if that's your opportunity to say, hello, I'm Portia Jackson with the City of Houston, Office of Business Opportunity. I want to ask this question, right? Because I just told everybody who I was and what I do that. And what I really like too is, I'm going to big up her, but she owns the nap bar. Every time she walks into a room, Kalia lets you know exactly what she does, and she has a mantra that she says, and you remember her. You might not remember the question she asked, but you remember her. Every time she steps into a networking session, she's going to say something, and she's going to make it, and she's going to advertise her business and run it down to you, so you know exactly what she does in 30 seconds. That's what you have to be willing and ready to do. So.
Mm-hmm. Yes, major. So we do want to open it up to any final questions. As far as financing, as far as business, as far as Houston.
Okay, I have it for you.
All right. Any other questions?
You want no questions now?
I know, right? I asked them all during the day.
Okay.
But I do want to ask, this is a question, but what I find so rewarding is the energy we get from other business owners, and they may have been through something you didn't go through, and vice versa, and just helping along with the momentum, because sometimes you lose it. It's like
Yeah.
gas in the car. You like
Absolutely.
you're low on gas, and you need to get to the gas station, but you gotta get to the gas station, and so it's always a blessing to me
Yes.
when I'm around other people that are
Yes.
doing their thing, because it's tough out here.
Yeah, and we're so happy to open up, back up again after COVID and have the opportunity to meet in a room.
Face to face
Yes, and so SCORE does provide in-person opportunities, so get connected to our list. I know you're from out of town, but we do have several events that are coming up where you can network with other people and get that encouragement that you definitely
Yeah.
need on a daily basis as an entrepreneur. Again, this is a journey and it's not a straight line. It's something like this.
So now I do have a question. Does Houston have like in Georgia and Nashville's home, but I've lived in Georgia, Atlanta now for 6.5 years, but do they have like in Nashville and Atlanta, you have Georgia Tech, PTAC, Human
Yes.
Training Assistance Center?
Mhm, we do. And SCORE is affiliated with them as well.
Okay.
Mhm. Yes, yes. Well, we do want to thank you. Robbie, did you have any question or to the statement that you wanted to make as far as HCC or just in general?
Yeah, I'll just flip the camera on me here for the recording, and we shared this on our Facebook group and in the Houston Startup group, as well as Born Global. One of the winners of yesterday's, Sunny Zhang has a WhatsApp group. She's a good friend, so I shared it there as well. So we're getting the content out. Again, thank you to SCORE and the Office of Business Opportunity at the city. At HCC, there's lots of opportunities for either, getting an education on specific things to help you with your academic goals, or maybe hiring students from our college through apprenticeships, internships. We also host competitions and business plan competitions. So if you need guided help, we work with SCORE for our business plan competition. And if you're already established as a business owner, we do have Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program. That is a free program. The folks that get accepted into it and go through it, all of them have been, at least 90% or more have been in existence since the very first one. And two, they've all doubled or tripled their revenue after completing the Goldman Sachs program. So it's a very good program in the area. The other one is the Mbda office, Minority Business Development Agency. So both of these are to help you grow your businesses. And then again, at the center, our goal is to help you start your business. So start and grow your businesses at HCC. So
Now the MBDE is more for product.
MBDA, Minority Business Development Agency. And what they do is they connect prime contractors with subcontractors. They mainly do a lot of in construction. I think the last stat was they connected about $192 million worth of contracting to local business owners. So these are someone would have let's say construction, a big building, they're the prime contractor. MBDA has clients that are at least $1 million in revenue that they connect to these larger prime contractors. Everything from landscaping to catering to furniture, whatever you can think of. So that's construction side, but they also have other industries. But their goal is to help diversify the supplier for the prime contractors to have more, and they basically become your cheerleaders. They champion for
And there's a
you.
fee for that.
No, it's free. It's a federal service. And Houston has the MBDA center that the college runs, kind of like the SBDC, which is the Small Business Development Agency, but MBDA is very specific, focused on procurement and diversifying the supplier. I run out of words. Supplier diversity is the right word. Yeah. So their goal is to connect minority businesses to larger contracts.
And they're very hands-on.
Mhm.
They- 'cause
Yeah.
I get emails from them all the time saying, I have a business, can you check on this, that, and the other for me? So, yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us. I do want to mention SCORE does have a presentation online tomorrow from 10 to 12, going over introduction to bookkeeping, which I'll be presenting. So that's one event that will be online through Zoom. So please feel free to join us. We want to thank you for joining us on Cinco de
And when
Mayo.
you sign up for that?
Yes, online.
Oh, online, pretty much.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And we'll see you next month.